play on the record so we can save what's sure to be an awesome conversation. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Alex. I'm Assistant Director at the Blackstone Launchpad, and I'll be your host tonight. So as you probably know, Launchpad is a campus-based entrepreneurship network on campus at the University at Buffalo. And we're designed to help students succeed as a founder or a contributor to the innovation economy. So today's topic is personal branding and LinkedIn optimization. And LinkedIn is obviously the platform to master in order to build a strong professional presence and to consistently grow your business. And Terry Rice is here to tell us all how to do just that. So in a moment, we'll begin. For all of you joining us, our presenter is going to share a presentation, then we'll open it up for Q&A with the audience. You're welcome to use the chat box to share questions or unmute to ask when we get to that point. And so without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Terry. So Terry is a business development consultant and a contributor to Entrepreneur Magazine. And as the founder of Terry Rice Consulting, he helps people build their brand and revenue without sacrificing their health, family, or personal interests. His focus is advising professionals on how to launch or scale their knowledge-based businesses, which can include consultants, agencies, and other professional services. He's also an adjunct instructor at NYU, where he leads workshops for career-driven individuals. And he's a recognized digital marketing expert. And so his previous experience includes helping clients achieve their business goals while working at Adobe and Facebook. Terry is also a UB graduate, a BA in 2002 and MBA in 2005, and he currently resides in Brooklyn. So with that, welcome, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us, and take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's funny. During the intro screen, it said how to launch a consulting business. And I'm like, wait, am I doing that today? So thank you for that mini panic attack. Um, and I'm
Just
glad to know.
promoting your other talks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. This is actually the first time I've spoken at UB since 2005. So I'm glad to have the chance to redeem myself today. But I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you. I already put my link into my LinkedIn. I think we should all connect so we can stay in touch afterwards. But I am going to be sharing my screen. However, I do not want to turn this into a boring webinar. So ask me questions, interrupt me. It's fine. I have 3 kids, which will probably be pretty obvious soon, and they interrupt me all the time. So don't feel like you're bugging me whatsoever. But first question before we get started, yes or no in the chat window, do you post on LinkedIn at least once a week? Do you post on LinkedIn at least once a week? No, no. Yeah, no, sad face. Nope, nope. Okay. All right. Well, you came to the right webinar. So only 1% of LinkedIn's monthly active users post once a week. And those 1% of people get the lion's share of the 9 billion impressions that are generated every week. So if you've ever wanted to be in the 1%, this is your chance right now. All right. So I'm going to give you those steps how to do it. But it is the place to be, especially if you're looking for a job, just looking for opportunities, because that's where you can grow your brand and your network. I'm going to show you how to do both of those in a way that doesn't feel cheesy or salesy or desperate. We're not chasing likes and followers. We're pursuing impact. So that's what I'm going to walk through today. I am going to start sharing my slides momentarily. And what's going to happen is I'm going to think I'm sharing my slides. You're going to say, oh, no, actually, we can't see it. So when that happens, just let me know. And I actually will share my slides.
Yeah,
So
we're
let me
seeing
get
your LinkedIn profile right now.
Cool. Well, that's what we're talking about today. So I guess that's somewhat relevant. But let me actually get my deck up too. There we go. Cool. All right. So slideshow. All right. Good to go.
Looks good.
Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and get started here. I will skip the intro because we already had that. But this is me when I'm not cutting my hair. These days, I'm doing that myself due to COVID. But yeah, we already covered everything here. The only thing I want to point out is I worked in corporate for about 10 years before launching my own business. And the challenge with that is often when you work in-house somewhere, you totally neglect your LinkedIn profile because you're like, whatever, I'm not looking for a job. I work at Facebook, I work at Adobe, so on and so forth. And as a result of that, when I finally went out on my own, I had no personal brand established on the platform or even in general. So I want to help you avoid that mistake, whether you're currently working in-house and you want to go somewhere else eventually, or maybe you just want to stay, in-house too, but just get rewarded for who you are instead of just what you do. I want to help you out with that. So here's our agenda. We're going to go into developing your personal brand. How do you want people to perceive who you are? And then going into your LinkedIn profile optimization. One part we're going to spend a lot of time is how do you create compelling content, which is actually hard to say because there's 3 C's in a row. But it's actually easy to do because I'm going to give you a good format for it. And then making the right connections, especially these days, it's so important because I don't know what's going on where you're at, but here in New York City, we're not really doing anything in person. So if you can master, which I guess is now a soft skill, of connecting with people you don't know online and building deep relationships, you're going to be in a really good position. But I'll show you how to do that in a way where you don't feel cheesy or like you're just trying to get something out of someone. So next question here, yes or no in the chat window. Do you have a personal branding statement? A way that you introduce yourself, not an elevator pitch, because those can be long, but a personal branding statement. Nope. All right, we're going to cover that shortly. Kim does awesome. Andrea, I appreciate your honesty. Well, Kim or Andrea, if you feel comfortable sharing yours, that would be great. But really, it's just the way you introduce yourself. We'll get to that in a moment. But you do want to have this established outside of your elevator pitch, which I'm sure you've heard about already. But we'll get to that momentarily. Cool. So, developing your personal brand, it's basically how you want to promote yourself. That's your personal brand. It's the combination of your skills, your experience, and your personality that you want to express to people. But there's two lanes to it. There's encoding and decoding. Encoding is when you're doing personal branding. Decoding is your personal brand, how people perceive you. I actually learned that in Com 101 back in fall of 1996 at UV. But again, so if you're not encoding your brand properly, people will not decode it properly. And it's on you to make sure you consistently promote yourself correctly in order for them to decode your personal brand in the way that you want them to. All right. But let me give you some more tips on your personal brand. And we'll start with Nickelback. If you Google most hated band in the world, Nickelback always comes up. I don't know why, because I don't think they're horrible, but well, I mean, Photograph was good. But anyways, the point is they're not horrible, but people just love hating them. But the thing is, if you also Google most successful Canadian bands in history, Nickelback also shows up, right? So the people that love them really love them, and they don't care if everyone else hates them because they're doing pretty well. You want to feel that way about your personal brand. It's okay to be polarizing, right? You shouldn't try to, act like everyone else and fit some kind of mold, but I see that way too often, especially on LinkedIn. Oh, does it sound smart? Does it sound professional? I don't know. Just write it and see what happens. Like be yourself, right? That's how you show your personality. That's how you show your personal brand. So when in doubt, just be like Nickelback because they're doing okay. And I'll show you an example of that, right? So, Alex did a great job of introducing me, all these accolades, worked at this company, consulted this organization, so on and so forth. But even me, I know when it's time to loosen up, and I'll give you an example. This is actually me on Instagram. I said, problem, my 4-year-old refused to go to sleep tonight. Solution, I made her listen to Nickelback until she gave up. And she actually lasted 4 minutes. And I said, follow me for more great parenting tips. So you might say, Terry, but you're a consultant. You're working with Techstars and Amazon and Google. What are they going to think? They're going to think, wow, this guy's not boring. Let's get him on stage because we don't want him to bore the audience to death, right? This is how you show your personality. You don't let that judge, that fear of other people's opinion hold you back. But unfortunately, it happens way too often. And you know what? That fear of other people's opinion, it's actually rooted in the caveman days or cave person days, I should say. Because back then you had to be accepted by your community or resources and protection, such as fire, wouldn't be shared. But now in modern days, we still have this fear of other people's opinion because of that. So you need to, just dispel that, especially if you want to be successful in regards to what I'm talking about today. Right. So again, your personal brand statement, it's basically a catchphrase that says something about you. What do you do? Who do you do it for? What's the outcome? It can give them a quick glance into your worldview as well. So you don't have to follow that template, but you repeatedly say it like, here's how I introduce myself. That's what you're known as. So that's what I want you to work on after this session, actually. And I'll give you a few examples. This is my friend Amina Altai. She is a holistic business coach. And her personal branding statement is make work a place you freaking love, feel good, and get paid. She normally works with female executives who are a little stressed out because of the demands that are on them. and either want to start their own business or just want to be more rewarded in their current company. And you might say, Terry, but she's saying freaking in her personal branding statement. Yeah, because anyone who has a problem with that, she does not want to work with. Emma is a very nice person, but she swears all the time. She says, if we can't swear, we can't be friends. So if you don't like the fact that she said freaking, you're really not going to like the rest of what else she says, right? So again, your personal brand should attract some people, but push others away, and that's fine, right? Because remember, Nickelback is doing just fine. Another example. So my friend Sally Arias, she's more or less an outsourced COO, mostly working with tech companies. And her personal branding statement is I teach entrepreneurs to create impact and increase revenue by leveraging easy to learn operations processes. Right. So again, she's an outsourced COO. And you can tell, what does she do? She helps entrepreneurs do what? These operations processes. What's the outcome? They're going to increase their revenue. Right. She checks all the boxes here. So this is like a textbook personal brand statement for you to look at. Let me give you another example. And this one is going to seem a little shocking, but just stick with me for a minute. This is Joe Polish, and he's known as one of the most connected people in the business world. He has this network called the Genius Network, some of you might have heard of, where every year people go to this huge conference. They pay tens of thousands of dollars just to be in the same room with each other because he's that connected. But if you look, it says from dead broke carpet cleaner to one of the most connected business people on the planet. I'll go further. He says, I was 18 years old and in my worst state. I weighed 105 pounds from freebasing cocaine and was inches away from rock bottom. So freebase cocaine is basically crack, in case you didn't know that, right? He's saying this on his website, but this guy's a multi-millionaire, but he's telling you his origin story, right? This is part of his personal brand. And a lot of the content he puts out is not just about entrepreneurship, it's about addiction recovery. So that is actually part of his personal brand as well. And this is his personal brand statement. The opposite of addiction is connection. If people are more connected, they won't feel as lonely and they won't have to resort to drugs and alcohol to appease that, right? So again, no matter where you're at, if you're saying, Terry, should I say this? I feel weird, letting this out. Again, he did crack and he has it all over his website, right? So whatever your background is, I'm assuming it's fine too, right? You want to tell that origin story. So to sum this part up, this is more or less what you're going to create, right? This template. I help this audience do this action so they can have this outcome. Your personal branding statement is about your audience, not about yourself, right? So be very careful because, yeah, your bio should more or less be about yourself. Your elevator pitch to an extent should be about yourself, but your personal brand statement, you're trying to attract people to you. And the way you attract them is by saying, hey, I'm here to help you. I care about your community, so on and so forth. How's this feel so far? What we're going through here, just kind of, laying some groundwork here, going through some examples, getting a little bit looser in regards to how we even present ourselves online and professionally. How's this sit with you so far? Great. Great. All right. We got two greats. We'll take that. Cool. Love it. Thank you, Pooch. I appreciate it. Cool. Super helpful. Awesome. Often when I ask a question, it's because I need to drink some water. So thank you for for letting me stall a little bit here. All right, cool. So that's it. We're gonna get more into how to reinforce your personal brand right now by going ahead and talking about LinkedIn optimization. All right. So with LinkedIn optimization, we're going to go piece by piece how you do this, different sections, different outcomes. And the first part is going to be your headline and your photos. So with your headline, that's very important because that's more or less your micro brand. That's the first thing people see if you comment, and when they go to your profile, they're going to see that as well. So you want to use keywords that let your audience know, hey, if you're searching for a UX developer, I'm here, right? It's almost like SEO at this point. In your bio and in your title, it behooves you to use keywords your audience would search for. And if you ever want to see which are more popular, maybe between one term and another, like pants and slacks, for example, there's a really cool tool called Google Trends you can use where you can compare the search volume for one term versus another. So pants versus slacks, or let's say you're a search engine marketer versus a digital marketer, however you want to call it, you can make sure that you're using the term that as per Google gets searched more, right? That's how you're optimizing your profile. And you can also get kind of creative, but also be sure to spell it out as well. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So now we're back at Sally again. And if you look at her title down here to the left, it says operations strategist, growth expert. Those are the terms she's trying to show up for. Operations strategist, growth expert. Transforming businesses no one's searching for. No one's like, oh, how would anyone's transforming business on LinkedIn? But this is part of her personal branding, is saying, here's what I do. So she's combining both of those keywords her audience would look for and also saying what she does. All right. Now there's something very, very important about her profile that I need all of you to adopt as well. And it's this. Make sure you have some kind of call to action in your cover photo. In her case, she's saying, oh, I have this calculator that helps you figure out how much to charge for your products and services. Well, that's pretty cool, right? She's a COO. She helps companies do that. Whatever makes sense for you. For me, I have this PDF you can download. It's a one-page business plan. On your end, maybe it's some kind of case study you did, if if you're looking for a job, or whatever makes sense on your end. Whatever you want someone to do when they go to your profile, make sure you put it here. All right, because otherwise you're wasting real estate, right? You have all this huge space here, and I know a lot of you probably still have that generic blue background. That's fine, but after this session, you don't have an excuse anymore, right? It could be anything. It can be, hey, follow me on Instagram, whatever. I don't care. Like, just do something other than nothing. Question is, what is the Happy Not Perfect? That's the company she works at, actually. She works for she works internally there as well as doing independent consulting, and then she went to FIT. So those are her jobs over there. Good question. All right, so 2 action items so far. Write your personal branding statement, and then when you are initially doing this profile, yeah, do the basic stuff, but then also have a cover photo. You can go to canva.com, that platform that makes everyone look amazingly creative. Go there and literally just type in LI cover. They'll have it formatted for you, because on desktop it might look different than mobile. So like the part where she has her branding statement, you see how it's so far over? It's so when it's on mobile, it won't be covered by her face. So go on Canva, save yourself some hassle, and get that uh, thing for you. Everyone's chiming in on Canva. Yeah, I know. Canva is pretty cool. All right. Next thing is using a professional photo. Like Sally, I think hers is cool. So I'm digging it. Hold on, there's a question here. Should the background cover also include the image that defines your current or expected business profile? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So whatever you aspire to be, that's totally cool. Yeah, good question. And I'll tell you what, prior to COVID, I did a lot of speaking engagements. So there was a picture of me on stage, like somewhere at some conference in LA, and then under there it said, keynote speaker, blah blah blah. I changed that once COVID started because I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. So whatever you're trying to optimize for, it makes a lot of sense to you to have that up there. Next up, use a professional photo as well. So here's the evolution of my photos, and I'm going to embarrass myself here just for sake of example. It's me back in like 2007. That's that time you're at that bar and you're like, wow, I look okay today. Let me just crop out Kelly's arm from my shoulder and I'm going to put this up here. And again, I worked in-house at Adobe back then. So I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to find a job. I just want a picture. And that's actually probably my Facebook picture or MySpace back then, for all I know. But again, not too professional, just some guy who's like, whatever, here's a photo. And as I got a little bit older, I was like, okay, I need something more professional. So I went to some conference and they were giving out free headshots. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do something where I look somewhat, less juvenile, even though I was like really hungover in this picture because I was out all night the night before, but it was free. So I was like, okay, whatever. So getting a little better. But when I really stepped up my personal brand and finally changed my picture to this one a couple of years ago, that's when people were like, wow, who's that guy? He's staring at something and looks happy. And all of a sudden, my personal brand grew, right? So little things like this do make a difference. And it might be hard for you to do that right now due to COVID, but you can still just stand against a white wall and take a picture where you don't have to like get too dressed up, but just, don't have that picture that one time you're at a wedding, you had like a tux on, you go, I look great. I'm just going to crop out Mark from my, my shoulder. Like, don't do that. Just have a nice clean background where you look presentable. All right. So few aesthetic things here. Another question for all of you. Do you have featured content on your LinkedIn profile? There's a section called featured content. Do you have content there? Pooja said yes. She got there quick with that one. Yeah. Rachel said yes as well. Let's go. Who else? Kim, no. Wait, no. Kim, yes. Latoya, no. I like your enthusiasm there. You are like really owning that no. You did not hold back. I dig that. Kyle is saying no with a frown. It's all good. You know, like if you still don't have one like next week, that's when we have a problem. You didn't know it was an option. Well, that's why you're here. I already have a question. Should you have your resume in the featured content section? I'm going to say yes proactively, but we'll get there and explain what it means too. So yeah, you all have to have this featured content uploaded, and it's a newer feature. It came over. Sarah's asking. I'm not going to tell you, Sarah. No, it's a newer feature. It came out in February of actually last year, right before COVID. So if you missed it because you had other stuff going on, I hear you. But you should all think about using it now. And this is it right here. Directly under your bio, there's a section where you can upload documents, videos, some of your more popular posts, whatever makes sense to you. But if you're not using this, you are seriously wasting one of the most valuable pieces of resource on your LinkedIn profile. So please do use this. I'll show you my example. I had this founder video where it's like me going throughout my day, like dropping off my kids, then going to the gym and then saying, here's why you want to work with me. I'm a regular person. There's that. There's my speaker reel. So when you want to get speaking engagements, you might have like a 3-minute video of you speaking on stages. There's that. And then various other things that I want to highlight. So on your end, put something there. It can even be a post that you put up recently if you want. It can be a link to your resume. Maybe it's a project that you did at school that was amazing. Maybe some kind of award or some kind of article that was written about you. It can be a YouTube video. Whatever you want, you can put it there. There's all these different mediums. But what I'm saying is do something, because if you don't use it, again, you're wasting a lot of real estate here. Does this make sense what we're talking about? Just maximizing all the features that are available in this case? Cool. Yes, yes. Yep. Cool. What I've done recently, just to kind of play around with it, is if I wanted to get more engagement for a post, I would put that as my featured content. Because that way, if someone went to my profile, that's the first thing they would see. And I might get more comments or engagement with it. So you can do that too. It's completely up to you. Some of my clients, they'll put their testimonials there. So it's like, hey, if you want to learn more about it, or if you have a business, it could be your reviews, a link to your reviews, maybe on Google or your website, whatever it is. So, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever makes sense, do that. Cool. Never knew about some of these. Awesome. Glad to hear I'm not boring you. But that's good to hear. All right, cool. So question here is how long should the description in the featured content be? Should pointers be added? How long should this description be? There's probably a max limit. So whatever that is, whenever you're asking me how long something should be, I always say as long as necessary and as short as possible. So I'll let you be the judge of that, but realize, you know, your audience, you care more about your content than your audience ever will. So just assume that. So you always want to make your content as long as necessary and as short as possible, because that wouldn't necessarily impact your search rank on LinkedIn. Good question though. Okay, so for those of you who don't post once a week, can I ask why? Do you mind chiming in the chat window? Why do you not post a little bit more often? Let's get some reasons here. Why do you not post too often on LinkedIn? Don't know what to post. I hear you. Don't know what to post. Not too much to say. I don't believe that. Don't know what to post. No idea what to post. All right. Okay, so there's a theme here. All right, nervous. Okay, I dig that, Latoya. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, you're not the only one, by the way. You feel like you just share nothing original. All right, well, Heather, we're going to help you with that right now. Yeah. So the number one, actually, the two reasons I see people normally not posting is because they don't know what to post, or they're like, there's an apprehension that goes into it. So that's that fear of other people's opinion that we talked about earlier, right? And Rachel's saying it takes time. Rachel, I'm going to show you a way where you can rapidly come up with content ideas, and not in a way where it interrupts your life, but where it becomes an integration into your life. Otherwise, it feels like a chore. And I don't want that to happen. So, going into this, first of all, create content for your audience. And I always say, don't chase likes, focus on impact. Because there have been posts that I put up where, like, didn't get much engagement, but people have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I saw that post and I thought it was really great. Can we talk to you about such and such?" So, focused on impact, not what I call vanity metrics, which could easily be likes or views. It's great if you get it for branding, but for me, I'd rather have 3 people DM me and say, "Terry, can we talk about so and so forth," than 1,000 people like my post about something random. So keep that in mind. And if you're short on time, you always want to go quality over quantity. So just post once a week. That's fine. Like I said, only 1% of people post at least once a week. I'm saying aim for twice, but let's just start with once for now. And what I'm going to do is give you the easiest content strategy ever. So get ready to write this down, take a screenshot, whatever helps you remember it. Just do this. Think of 10 questions that your audience might have, your target audience. So if you're an entrepreneur like me, again, I help people scale their consulting business. So it might be, how much should I charge? How do I find clients? So on and so forth. If you're a job seeker, then you're going to think, okay, what's going to attract, like a hiring manager or someone who's on the team that I want to work for? So talk about industry updates, perhaps, or anything their competitors are doing, right? What's going on in the market, any kind of changes that might be relevant, or your POV on things that are going on. So just think, what is my target audience, curious about? What are they asking about? What are they Googling? What's top of mind? And what I like to do is I'll look at like the LinkedIn trending news. And if there's something relevant there for my audience, I'll just piggyback on that. Because I know if LinkedIn has it trending, it's top of mind because everyone's seeing it, right? So you all want to think of these questions, what's going to be intriguing, and then create content that addresses that. Really simple. So in the case of questions, questions create content, right? Maybe there's some new regulation in your industry. How does this affect you? Here's the answer right now, right? Super easy. If you post once a week, you got 2.5 months worth of content already, right? Because we got 10 posts here. That was my son Tyson, I think. All right, so let me show you an example of what I mean. Again, a question I get all the time is, how do I get more clients? And for me, I mean, I kind of flip it on people. I'm like, instead of focusing on how to get clients, focus on how to keep them happy instead, right? Because sure, I could answer the question, how do you get clients? But like, if you get them and they're miserable, you're not going to get more too easily. So I took a spin on this just because that's kind of my personality. But I'm like, you'll get good testimonials and referrals if you keep your current clients happy, and you won't have to chase as many going forward. So either way, this answers a question, but I just put my own little twist on it, right? And we have a question here. What if we share something related to technology and that's not right? Uh, oh, okay. So you're saying if I share something about technology and it's incorrect, would that not create a negative impact? I mean, if you're guessing, if you have like some kind of like I would say like some kind of guess what's going to happen in the future. Okay, here's my my bet on what's going to happen in 2022 in SaaS, and you're wrong. That's fine. But if you're like, here's how you install an iOS app in this, and you're wrong, it's like, yeah, that's bad, right? So don't do that. If you're empirically wrong, that would not be good. But if you're giving an opinion, that's fine. It's your opinion. So if you were to find out you were incorrect in something that you posted, yeah, I would definitely take it down. But if it's your prediction, that's totally fine. People do that all the time. Real good question. And here's the thing. Let's stay in the moment here. If you have a prediction like that, I predict the SaaS market in 2022 is going to do this. You would end it with, do you agree or disagree? Then you'll get more engagement for your post. And the more engagement you get for your post, the more conversations you're having and the more reach you get for your post as well. So on any social media platform, LinkedIn included, the more engagement you get in your post, the more people see it because that tells LinkedIn, oh, this is good content. Sarah saw it, Leah saw it, Jonathan saw it, and they all engaged. Let's show it to more people. So if you say something like, my prediction is this is going to happen, you don't have to be right. It has to be somewhat tethered to reality. But then you just say, do you agree or disagree? And then give people an opportunity to jump in the conversation, right? So thanks for asking that. So let's go into the anatomy of an engaging post. Right. First thing is an eye-catching opening line. Realize people are just scrolling through their newsfeed, right? And if you don't do something, we call that thumb-stopping content. to make them stop scrolling and pay attention, they're going to keep scrolling. So make sure you're not boring is going to be my advice there. But I'll give you some more tactic level tips on that. The next thing is valuable content, right? And what's the meat of your post? Because the eye-catching opening line, think of it like this: if they were walking by like a magazine rack and they saw like that title on a magazine, what would make them stop and want to pick it up? That's how eye-catching it should be for your target audience, right? But you have to deliver some kind of value afterwards. Otherwise, it's like, okay, bait and switch. I thought this was going to be a really good post. It's actually not. So you have to deliver on that value once you get their attention. The next thing is an engagement prop. Agree, disagree. What would you add? What are your thoughts on this? Have you had a similar experience? Whatever it is, you want to end with questions typically because you want to get some kind of engagement from your audience. Otherwise, you're just talking, right? Social media, it's supposed to be social. That's the whole point of it. Back in my UB days, we were on AOL, we were on AIM talking. That was social media back then too, right? Dated myself, but anyways, you get the point. It's not supposed to be like Terry Rice show. It's like, okay, let's see what everyone else thinks as well. So just by ending your post with a question, you'll get more engagement. And then lastly, relevant hashtags. And I'm sure you're all aware of hashtags, but just in case, these are ways that you can identify the theme of your content, and then anyone who's following those hashtags will see it. But also, algorithms will know that if people normally engage with content that has that hashtag, even if it doesn't necessarily have it all the time, they will still show it to them. But what you want to do is look up your hashtags in advance. Because, like, for example, I use hashtag consultants a lot, plural. There's like 3 million followers. Consultant, singular, has 14,000 followers. So pre-qualify hashtags just because it makes sense to you intuitively. Are people actually following it or not? Right? So pre-qualify that before you make a mistake. It's like a little thing, consultant versus consultants can affect your reach. Does that make sense the way I'm explaining doing this whole pre-qualification? Cool. And don't make up your own hashtags either. Like, cause I know it's like, oh, I want to be funny. It's like, it's not that funny. Like, it's not going to help you get more reach. If you want to, like, you can, but just realize use something else there as well. Otherwise, it's not helping you any. So let's walk through what I would say is a well-structured post. So this is Jay Nathan. He works in the SaaS industry. He has this eye-catching opening line. And why is it eye-catching? Because he's saying CSMs. That stands for client success managers in the SaaS industry. He's saying this is for you. The majority of us are going to just keep on scrolling. Jay doesn't care because it's not for us. It's for CSMs. First questions to ask about your new account, right? So he goes deeper into it. And he says, how do you make this company, how does this company make money, so on and so forth. This is the value or thought-provoking content. This is the meat of it. All right, this is the meat of the post. Next thing is engagement prompt. What other questions should CSMs be aiming to answer about their customers the first time they connect? He wants other people to chime in with other questions. This is perfect. And then lastly, relevant hashtags. So customer success, SaaS, and then he has a link to his company here, right? So a question came in, confusion around the difference between consultant and consultants. Terms can be similar, but have a drastically different number of people following those hashtags. And if you don't have the right hashtag, meaning one that gets more reach, you're going to hurt yourself because you won't get as many eyeballs on your content. However, when you have terms that are huge and super popular, like business, that's going to be hard to rank for. So you're better off going for like tech business, SaaS business, SMB, something with a smaller number of followers in addition to the larger ones. But it's almost like same thing as Instagram. If you try to like trend for like, I don't know, I'm not gonna even bother thinking of it, but like anything too popular, good luck, because so many other people are using it as well. So you can use like 3 or 4 hashtags and that's fine, and have a mix of super popular ones and less popular ones. But realize if you go hashtag business, then you're not going to do too well. Cool. Got a question coming in. Is it advised to share links of blogs you read and you want your connections to be identified with? Let's dissect this very deeply. If you ever share a link in your post, you will get less reach for it. Do not ever share a link directly in your post because people spend an average about 2 minutes per day on LinkedIn. So what they don't want people doing is reading your post and then clicking off LinkedIn to go to Wall Street Journal. That's why you see so many people saying link in first comment, because if it's in the first comment, you will not get penalized. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll repeat, do not put links in your native post on LinkedIn. You will get less reach, meaning less eyeballs for it. Okay. Yeah, no problem. What would be the wrong way of engaging with your audience? Oh, I can go so many places with that. Just use your judgment. I mean, like, don't be rude. I would say don't start with that. How many hashtags are too many? If it's more hashtag than content, that's too many, I would say. Like, it should just be like a bunch of blue letters. I normally say 3 or 4 is fine, but you don't want to like overdo with the hashtags because what's the actual content if you have that many hashtags. All right, here's another one from Lincoln, and we'll break Lincoln's down. Eye-catching opening line, new posts. Thanks, Lincoln. We know. we see it's new. But anyways, he's saying, hey, customer success, how to quantify the impact of a bad fit customer. So again, if you're in the customer success industry, this is interesting. For us, maybe not so much. Then there's the meat of it, then the engagement prompt, saying there's a link to that post in the comments below, right? And then more hashtags. So Lincoln gets it, Jay gets it, now you get it. Let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Now Melissa gets it. Yeah, cool. um, there was a Ruggiero that I went to high school with that also went to UB. I don't know if you're related to her or not. Franca Ruggiero, let me know. But yeah, let's keep going just in case that is not relevant. Okay, cool. So so again, the first thing is an eye-catching opening line. How do you do that? It can be by asking a question or a pattern interrupting thought as well. So here's an example of a pattern interrupting thought. What does consulting have to do with assembling IKEA furniture? So when you see that, you're like, oh, well, what does it have to do with it? I would then say, hey, if you don't have clear directions, it's easy to mess up either one of those. That's why I have this one-page business plan for consultants is going to help you guide yourself to launching a successful consulting business. That's exactly what I said in one of my posts. But it's going to stop you from scrolling. What the hell does consulting have to do with IKEA furniture? Right? So again, don't be basic. Another one is, you can say, this is going to sound hypocritical, but here goes. And I made a point of how I was binging on Netflix recently, even though I always say like, oh, you can't watch TV, you got to like, focus on impact and all this stuff. But I just got into Cobra Kai, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm not stopping. Like, and I'm 42 years old, and I was like up all night watching Cobra Kai, so it's a good show. But anyways, like just something to get people to stop scrolling and pay attention. But you have to deliver value afterwards, right? Is it some kind of industry update, thought leadership, step-by-step guide? It has to be something. Otherwise, they're going to say, wait, what was this? And then they might hide your content, which is horrible because that tells LinkedIn you put out bad content. Don't show it to anyone or show it to less people because they didn't just ignore it. They stopped their day to hit that button that says hide. Do not show my feed anymore. So don't just tease out something amazing and then not deliver some kind of value afterwards. The engagement prompt, what should they take on your post, on your website? What do you want them to do next? So ask for their opinion, their suggestion. Maybe you give an experience of something that happened to you. Hey, has this ever happened to you as well? Share in the comments below. Or you have some kind of resource for them to download. Like whatever makes sense, get some kind of engagement. And the easiest thing to say, if you have some kind of thought opinion content, is say agree or disagree. That's it. Because sometimes when you frame the engagement prompt too like precisely, if I say, oh, I was walking to the library and I was amazed at all the books there, has anyone had a similar experience? We're gonna say no, that's dumb, right? Like that's not easy to engage with. But if you just say something like, I think the SaaS industry in 2022 is going to do this, do you agree or disagree? People in your audience can easily chime in on that. So don't make it so hard for people to interact by making the question so specific. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your engagement. Does that make sense the way I'm explaining it? You want to ask broader questions typically? Okay. All right, so we covered a lot of ground here, but here's where we bring in our personal brand. This part's extremely important. If you have any questions about what I'm about to cover, please do ask because I'm going to go through this content marketing matrix that you can all leverage going forward to create more content. So, all that how to stuff, that's great. But the thing is, anyone can do that. We want to know more about you, your personality, your worldview, your hobbies, whatever it is. That's what you're going to learn right now. And if you get a little tripped up, don't worry about it. I wrote an article for Entrepreneur Magazine that walks through the exact same process I'm going to go through. So you can, ask me for that or just, find it online or whatever. But you'll get a step-by-step guide in this article as well. Okay, here we go. So we have this matrix here. In the left, we have different kinds of mediums: images, videos, text. Is everyone with me there? Images, videos, text. We're good? Cool. And then we have these columns. The first column is going to be content related to your area of expertise: SaaS, engineering, tech, whatever it is. You will write content about your area of expertise. It could be an image. Oh, here's this pie chart showing how the SaaS industry is growing year over year. It could be a video. Oh, check out this video of how quickly, SaaS is growing as compared to other industries, whatever it is. So different mediums that you can experiment with. The next one is going to be industry updates. Whatever relevant for your industry, posting updates there. Oh, did you hear Microsoft is actually thinking about buying Slack so they can compete with other competitors in the workplace? Wait, hold on. Was it Microsoft? No, Slack and Salesforce. Sorry, Slack and Salesforce were thinking about teaming up to compete with Microsoft Teams. Excuse me. Wow, I wonder how that's going to disrupt the workplace productivity space. That would be an industry update you can post about. And you can say, Terry, how do I stay on top of this stuff? I got stuff to do. Have you heard of Google Alerts? Yes or no in the chat window. Have you heard of Google Alerts? Okay, well, there's no big reveals in this case. So, yeah, Google Alerts are a way for you to set alerts for specific terms, such as SaaS or whatever makes sense for your industry. I recommend you setting up Google Alerts for your industry. And then when you get these alerts, you can write content about them. So you're being spoon fed this information instead of trying to proactively find it, right? The next two columns, that's all on you. It can be, your personality. Let me go back here. Sorry. It can be your personality. It can be hobbies. It can be your area of interest, whatever makes sense for you. I had mine showing up there a moment ago. I had it advanced on accident. But whatever makes sense for you. Maybe you like meditation. Maybe you like rowing. Maybe you're really into hiking, photography, whatever it is. Maybe you're funny. I don't know. Like whatever makes sense. That's where you express your personal brand. So on my end, I'll show you what my content buckets we call looks like. First one's going to be consulting and coaching tips, industry updates, and then I talk a lot about mental and physical health, really important to me. And then my personality, which is this somewhat sarcastic, stoic, which is a bad combination because no one ever knows if you're joking or not, but that's my life, right? So you'll see that personality in my content. And then when it's time for people to look for speakers to go to conferences, they're like, oh, we get this guy's an expert, but oh, there's something else about him too. Or if you're trying to get a job somewhere, they're like, okay, yeah, we know she's an expert on this, but you know what? She's actually pretty funny too. We like this. And she's always posting updates. This is awesome. She'll keep the rest of the team up to date as well. Oh, we got to hire her, right? This is how you stand out, by following this matrix, right? So before I advance, are there questions about why we have this matrix and how it's set up? We have these columns that we can create content around, but these themes are all aligned with our personal brand, how we want to be perceived. Okay. All right. So sounds like we're good. The next thing you're going to do is this. Very careful here. You're going to rapid fire out content ideas for each of these grids. Not write a post, just an idea. So under mental and physical health and image, I could have like growth mindset versus fixed mindset and talk about the difference between those two. Under coaching tips in a video, it could be a video of me talking about how to deal with rude clients. Under text and personality, it could be one of my favorite sayings that I enjoy, whatever it is. But just write the theme of the post. Don't write the whole post. Here's what it can look like. So, under video and mental and physical health, I had a video of me working out in the snow recently. I was doing whatever, some kind of like kettlebell exercise in the snow. Under image and personality, there was a picture of me doing a Spartan race. I had that up as well. And then down here, oops, let me go back. Down here under personality or my personal life and text, I had a post about my kids making noise while I'm on calls, just like this one. And it's because during early COVID, if that is a time frame we can reference, I used to always apologize for how much noise my kids were making on calls. Oh, sorry, I know you hear me in the background. Oh, sorry, my son is two, whatever. But everyone always said, don't worry about it. It's fine. Or we can barely hear them. I knew they were lying when they said that, but I said, we don't care. We care about what you have to say. And that's what sparked this post that you're going to see right now. People don't care about your kids. That's the eye-catching opening line. People don't care about your kids. Here's how I found out. I kept on apologizing for the noise my kids are making. People said, we don't worry about it. It's okay. We don't care. That's how I realized they don't care. They care about the value that I have to provide and what I have to say. But if half my mind's in the other room, hoping my kids will quiet down, and the other half is here trying to present to you, I'm nowhere. And I can't be fully present as a parent or as a professional. And so I said, if you're going through the same thing, just own up to it and say, hey, got some kids here. You're going to hear them. That's it. That's what this post was about. But if you look, it got like 27,000 views, which is actually a lot. So if you were to pay for this as a paid ad, this would cost you about $300 or so, because every 1,000 views on a channel like LinkedIn costs you about $10. Now, again, I'm just talking about my kids here, but this is what part of my personal brand. It's this guy who, yeah, he works with entrepreneurs and everything, but he also enjoys working out and he's a dad, you know, and that's how I grow my brand. So when I do stuff like this, people reach out and say, can you appear on my podcast? Can you talk about that? Oh, can you talk about balancing entrepreneurship and, being a parent on our webinar? It's because you built your personal brand. Show you another one. I saw Louis Vuitton was selling a kite for $10,000. I was like, holy cow, it's a lot of money for a kite. So I said, you know what? It's 2020 and Louis Vuitton selling a kite for $10,000. It's 2020 and many consultants are afraid to charge $10,000 for their services. It is not the economy, it's your mindset. And if it has not changed, 2021 is not looking any better. So this is one of those truth hurts moments, right? That's my personality, just stoic. But again, if you look, this got like 33,000 views. I know you can't see it right now. And a bunch of engagement. I'm not chasing likes. I'm just giving you KPIs just for ratios. But when I post stuff like this, again, that's what attracts people to me. I could put stuff up that says like, oh, here's 5 ways to increase your revenue. And that'll get ignored sometimes because everyone's doing that. But not everyone's talking about kites. And that's how you stand out, right? That's me working out, just showing that I actually do work out and just talk about it. And then, do I look at all 105 comments? Rachel, here's the thing. I would love to, but I got kids to raise. So, so I can't like be on the phone like, sorry kids, dad's got to reply to, Kelly from Nebraska about my post. I usually try to spend like an hour on the platform a day, and that's it, because you don't want to like become obsessed with it. You don't want to tie your identity or your self-worth to your, the engagement you're getting either. So I would recommend it replying to all comments, but sometimes it's just impossible, especially with this post that got like 100 and whatever 40 comments. But in this post, I shared how getting laid off actually launched my career. Back in 2009, I got laid off and I had $7 to my name, $7 in my pocket. And I went from that to making well over $100,000 within 5 months. And just telling that story to people, especially these days, who might need that encouragement, and saying, if I did it, I know it's not easy. I've been there. I'm not just trying to cheer you up. Like, I've done it as well. My electricity got turned off. I was like 3 months behind on my rent. It was not cool. But things did get better and my electricity got turned back on. So if it worked for me, it can work for you too. But you never want to let situations like this impact your self-worth, because the situation has changed, but the value you have to provide does not. Right. And I truly do believe that. But content like this humanizes you. Because if you're just saying, "Oh, I'm an expert," blah, 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 like people are like, okay, we get it. But what makes you interesting? What's your origin story? So this content helps. A few more things here that we can ask some questions or answer some questions. Also, engage with content. Don't just post and engage with your comments, engage with other people's content too. That's how you grow your brand, right? So I can say, "Hey, Sarah, awesome post about this. I really appreciate, your point of view. Leah, this is great. I never thought about it this way. Can you tell me more about this experience? Rachel, oh, that's cool that you went to this, you went hiking. Did you see anything?" Oh, don't be that corny, but you know what I mean? Like, the more you engage with other people's content, the more they'll engage with yours. And then you get more engagement and you actually build deeper relationships. Now, if you want to, what I would also recommend is this: follow relevant industry leaders. In this case, I'm looking at Simon Sinek. Some of you might have heard him before, and comment on their posts. So, companies or organizations that your audience is following, comment on their posts, because if you look, just my comment alone, I'm trying to get rid of this thing down here. Just my comment alone got 52 likes. And I'm like, hell, half the time I'm lucky if my own posts get 52 likes. But since I'm commenting on this guy is so popular, I got a lot of likes and engagement. But what I want you to do is this: if your target audience follows this guy, engage with their posts, not just him. This is your audience. Simon Sinek's never going to say, "Hey, Terry, this sounds great. Would you like to have a virtual coffee?" But these people might. So be aware of that. On any platform, look for an influencer. Sure, cool, but their audience is who you actually want to engage with. They're the people who are going to give you the time of day, not these people up here. Right. So how do you make connections? Good question. Here's one approach, and this can be time consuming, so you don't want to do this all the time, but you can create content, and then anyone in your target audience who engages, you can reach out to. You can say, "Hey, Sarah, thanks for liking my post about this. I see you do this. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this?" So I can reach out to her and send her a connection request because she engaged with me first, right? I didn't come out of the blue saying, "Hey, Sarah, I know you're just minding your own business, but hey, it's me." So you would look into Rachel's point and say, okay, well, who engaged with my post? Is there someone there that I do want to work with or partner with or learn from? And then you can reach out to them with a reason to connect because they've already initiated the whole conversation. But if you are reaching out to someone who you don't know whatsoever, let me give you some tips on that. First thing is ask a genuine question. "Hey, I see you work at this company and you've recently done this. Tell me, did this have an effect on this?" Like whatever makes sense. Something that shows them that you're not just throwing stuff at the wall. Not like, "Oh, I see you're a very interesting person. I'd love to connect with professionals like you. Shall we connect?" No, we can't, because you're just throwing stuff at the wall. You can give a genuine compliment, whatever makes sense. Something that just tells them that you're actually paying attention to them and not just some kind of generic statement. Mention a recent post they created. "Hey, I saw that post you said about this, and gosh, it was awesome. I shared it with my network and my friends, and like I just want to say thank you and stay in touch going forward so I see your content." Right. Or if maybe sign up for their newsletter, right? It's like some startup you really want to work at. You could say, "Hey, I got your newsletter the other day, and like you said this, that was amazing." Right. Now, the problem with some of this stuff is it actually takes work, right? You can't just like, rat off a bunch of connections. You have to deeply care about these people in order to have this more bespoke outreach. But that's how it lands better, right? When you can tell someone actually put in some effort into reaching out to you, that's when you're more likely to make this connection with someone who doesn't know you already, right? And then lastly, just don't be basic, which we kind of covered already. And I'll show you an example of someone reaching out to me with a very tailored message that I had to reply to. I'll show you right now. Skies Max said, "Hey, Terry, I saw your call out regarding mentoring in the April edition of Entrepreneur Magazine, and I had an honest question. Did you mean for there to be a typo in one of these sentences so that more people like me would engage with you like I am right now?" No, Max, I just can't write that well, but for some reason I write for Entrepreneur Magazine. Thank you for calling out my incompetence. So one of my articles had a typo in it, and this guy saw it and reached out to me, and I'm like, this is amazing, So I replied to him because that was just so deep, how he called me out like this, and I appreciated it too. But it's an extreme example, but this is what was going to get you a response from anyone you want to network with. And then lastly, play the long game, right? You want to build relationships. Don't try to get rich quick, because if you project lack and scarcity, people will not want to try to connect with you. I know it happens to you all the time. Someone's like, hey, nice profile. Do you want to catch up on Zoom for 3 hours? No, I don't. I don't even know who you are, right? But if you take the time to build that relationship, they might eventually, if it's a right fit. So next steps, do all this stuff. So best practices for your profile. We talked about your keywords. We talked about your photos, those calls to actions, those that featured content. Create content for your audience and start by answering questions if you're short on content. Make sure you use the right hashtags. Engage with other people's content as well. And then when you do connect, provide some kind of value. And lastly, stick with it, because it's not going to be an overnight thing. We're like, oh, this is perfect. I posted on LinkedIn 90 times in 90 days as an experiment on myself. And that's how I got into the rhythm. I'm not saying go to that extent, but it takes time. But you're building a brand and perhaps a business or a career that's going to last you forever, right? So it doesn't have to happen next week. And you have my socials here, but let me just stop sharing and start talking so I can answer some questions. But this has been a blast chatting with you already. And let's get some questions here. Wow, you got like 3 in here. All right. To save this post, help. If someone saves your post, yeah, that is a positive sign to the LinkedIn algorithm. So yes, same as Instagram. Should asking for someone to save this post, would I do that? I wouldn't. I mean, if it was a valuable resource, might mention it casually. Hey, save this if you ever need this checklist again, but it has to be very valuable. So I'll take it back. If it was very valuable, I would encourage them to do so. So good idea. Should using images or video, is that a good idea? Oh, thank you for asking that question. This is such a common misconception here. All things being equal, if you have a video or image, it gets less reach than a text-based post. I'll say it one more time. Videos and images normally get less reach than a text-based post. I didn't say more impact, because I've had videos that were way too long for LinkedIn and got like 1,000 views, but I made thousands of dollars off of because the right people saw it. So I'm not saying that's the end all be all KPI, the key performance indicator, but videos and images normally get less reach than a text based comment. Do I think the LinkedIn skills test are worth your time? I don't know. I took one on SEO, which I'm not an expert with, and I passed. I'm like, all right, whatever. I think go for it if you're not studying for it. I mean, I wouldn't spend like hours on it, but if you can just take it real quick, yeah, Danielle had the same experience. If you can take it real quick and pass, cool. I would encourage you to talk to someone who works in recruiting, maybe someone at the Career Resource Center. They're probably a better fit to answer that question than I am. Um, so I don't want to like overstep what you should do. I get many LinkedIn requests from people I don't know, and sometimes I know I can't start a conversation with them. So, what is a good way of doing this? So, if someone reaches out to you that you don't know, I normally think to myself, would I have reached out to this person? Do I even want to connect? Because otherwise, what's the point of them seeing my content and then ignoring it? And it tells LinkedIn he has bad content. Even his friends don't want to see it. Then I get less reach. So it's like, why are you connecting in the first place? That's my first thought. Um, I know I can't start a conversation with them. Yeah, you can. Here's what I say. Hey, thanks for connecting. What prompted you to reach out? Just curious. That's it. You reached out to me. I'm just asking a question. So I always do that. And what's crazy is I've done that recently, and it's been like for paid opportunities. This one from Google did it. And I'm like, why do you say that in the freaking in the invite? Like, we want to have you speak at this event. Like, say that first. So I always ask, hey, I'm just curious, what prompted you to reach out? So please do that. What I advise against using your title as your headline depends on your title. I mean, if your title has keywords that your audience might search for, yes. If you want to be more descriptive about, your worldview or what you do, you can do that as well. Like my first job in Buffalo, I was a market development specialist at this company called Ingram Micro. No one knows what that really means. I was more like a channel account manager. So that term would have made more sense to everyone else. So it depends on what your title is. Is it descriptive to the audience you're trying to attract, or is it some kind of internal term that no one outside of your company would understand? Is LinkedIn Premium worth it? It depends. I mean, you can tell I used to be a digital marketer. Every response is, it depends. But for me, the reason why I like it is because you can do more searches and deeper searches for your target audience. So one thing I did recently is I surveyed 200 people on LinkedIn to ask them how I can better build my next coaching program. And I could search that many people because I have the premium version of LinkedIn. So right now they got a deal on a lot of stuff. I would try it out for like a month. And then if you like it, renew. If not, don't. But I think if I was a job seeker or an entrepreneur, it's helpful. If you already have a large LinkedIn following from years and years of connecting with people in various industries, but not really knowing them, what can you do to engage with these people if they're in several different industries? First of all, do you want to engage with them? I would start there. Maybe you don't care that much if you think about it. Next up, how do you engage with them? Look at their content. Engage with their content. Like what I would recommend for all of you, this is overarching, is think of 40 people that you really want to get to know for one reason or another. And then make a spreadsheet of the URL directly to their profile. And then every day check on 4 of them. Did they post recently? If they did post, engage. If not, check again the next time you go around, but you'll never go more than 2 weeks without checking their profile. That way you'll constantly keep on engaging with them, should you choose to. So I would do that. Is it advisable to add student at Buffalo, or let's say MS candidate 22 and 2 in the title on LinkedIn? Why wouldn't you? Like, what? Who would that turn somebody off? I don't know. I would. I would refer that to career resources. I think it's a good idea. I don't see why you wouldn't, especially if it's at Buffalo. Come on. All right. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Awesome. Well, wonderful. It looks like, oh, we got another question. Want to do one more?
Yeah, sure. I keep accepting connection requests. Is it valuable to have more connections or more about quality over quantity? So Rachel, if they're somewhat in your niche, it's beneficial because again, you never know who you might, want to connect with, or you might enjoy their content, they might enjoy yours. But if it's like some random person who you probably won't ever have a need to interact with, I would not. And if all of you, if you have not done so already, check your security connections to make sure that your first party connections can't see your email address, because sometimes that's why you're getting these random invites, because they can get your email address, then you're on some random list for stuff you don't want. So I would just double check that. It's under your privacy settings. Um, might be a little out of context. I feel like I should read this question internally before I read it out loud, but let's see what happens here. But I saw you put your Insta account also in that flyer, and I see some people make their Instagram look really good and powerful. How do you balance between different platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, etc.? Does similar content go into both platforms? The content I have on LinkedIn often overlaps Instagram because I have a business account and I'm not concerned about sharing personal stuff on LinkedIn either. If it's really kind of just like me, like doing something like working out or whatever, I might do a LinkedIn story so it disappears after 24 hours. So I would say that. Is the open to work on your profile image worth it to up the game? I don't know. Here's the thing, like, I'll just be honest, right? If someone reaches out to me and they have the open to work like icon, I'm thinking, what do they want from me? Like, so I don't know. If I'm in a position to be a mentor and help people, then sure, cool. This is great. But like for me, I'm a solopreneur. I don't. My niece works for me. She just graduated from Syracuse last year. So if someone's open to work, they're not going to get it from me. So I wouldn't be able to help someone like that. But if you're a hiring manager or you're in a capacity to help people and engage people that are open to work, then yeah, it kind of depends on who you're reaching out to, I would say. Oh, we got some more SU fans here. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And so I'd invite you all to join me in thanking Terry with a virtual applause. Tons of great knowledge that you shared with us, a lot of tips and tricks I think that we can all use. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining, and stay tuned for our next workshop, which is Thursday, March 4th at 5:30. And that will be a panel discussion on wellness for entrepreneurs. You can also catch Terry back here with us on March 24th at 4 p.m. And that one will be how to start and scale a consulting business. So one quick plug we're going to drop in the chat. One of our UB Ventures is a finalist in the National Startup Prime Pitch Competition. And today is the last day to vote for them. There's a People's Choice Award. So we'd love it if you could do that. And then just the last final words, we have some great events and competitions coming up, which you might have seen in our intro slides, including the World's Challenge, which applications for are due on the 28th, Empower Pitch for those of our students that identify as female venture leads. And as always, we have our venture coaching and experts in residence being offered virtually. You can find the link in our link tree on Instagram. And make sure to check out our newsletter and social media at launchpad_UB for info on upcoming events. So once again, Terry, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all that knowledge, and for staying on to answer all the questions.
Yeah, it was great. And I know I didn't get to all the questions. If you have any more, just please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer them. And looking forward to seeing you all next month as well. So thanks for having me.
I won't confuse you next time.
Thanks. Take care.